I've seen a million men march in unison, but still I see no equal footing. I've seen a leader announce his dream, but still haven't seen the inception of it. I've seen a woman refuse to give up her bus seat just for the journey to still continue. I've seen a leader under the guide of a prophet, but still we have to pray for mercy on our souls. I've seen one of our own take control of the Oval Office, but still our power hasn't come full circle. For too long, we have walked this earth, treating the concrete like eggshells, wanting the ground to swallow us up at times, too afraid to walk on the very grounds built off our backs, bare hands and blood. Where is our place on this planet? Name me a land of ours that is not victim to neo-colonialism, or that isn't still suffering from the effects of being colonized. People who are not the owners of our land, living there, rent-free, on the surface and on our minds. Countries in the motherland still paying the price for freedom. Promised 40 acres, but would that even begin to cover the ground lost in the gap of socio-economic inequality? Where is our land? We want our Black Wall Streets back. We want our towns like China. We want Africa free from the fetters of the West. We just want land where we know we can rest. Any place we get to call home immediately becomes synonymous with being the ghetto. Substandard buildings with hazardous materials only adding fuel to the fire. Surrounded by stores asking us to pick our poison. Will you drink the pain away, smoke it away, or gamble every day on the chance you find a ticket out of here? Gave us high rises but never real estates. Place value on everything in our neighborhoods except the residents until they're displaced and replaced. Where can we call home? We want our neighborhoods protected. We want equal opportunities to access mortgages. We want shops that benefit our lives and not the demise of it. We want to be able to have property and enjoy the enterprise of it. We need new school of thoughts. Not the same traditions of relegating our history to a month. Not the same tradition of taking our history as far back to a certain time frame where all we can digest are the hard pills to swallow. Teach the world our successes and contributions the same way you're quick to teach them about us being enslaved. Let young Black people know their ancestors were as resourceful as the lands they inhabited. Let them know they were scholars, architects, wealthy, kings and queens. Don't only show them peaceful protests or those who obeyed to get by. Show them those who were brave enough to shed blood or were at least willing to. Show them the victories. Education doesn't exist just in schools, but it's all around us. So be sure not to make textbook errors with our narrative. Every day we are slapped in the face when the world shows us there is one rule for Black people and another for the rest. We peacefully protest for our lives to matter, whilst people can storm government buildings, leaving it destroyed and shattered, but yet we get tear-gassed, tasered and battered. It's a crazy time we live in when an unarmed Black person can be criminalized more than a white person blowing up a building. Our young brothers and sisters being tried as adults, their innocence robbed from them before they even realize. Prisons being built faster than schools with the intention of ensuring our kids learn a different type of sentence. When will the lines be drawn to create equal justice? We just want justice. This doesn't mean officers should shoot others like they shoot us, but rather they don't shoot us like how they don't shoot others. This doesn't mean we want to get away with wrongdoings, but that our circumstances and mental health is also taken into consideration. This doesn't mean allowing us to walk into government buildings unannounced, but that we can be invited to have our voices heard. We want the same rules, the same chances, the same reality, and the same peace.
The 10-point program. 10 clear points outlined by the Black Panther movement that were seen as non-negotiables. Point 7. The immediate end of police brutality towards all Black people. Non-negotiable. This non-negotiable was written over 50 years ago. Yet this is still the same request we ask for today and tomorrow. The Black Panther movement was seen by many as an unruly group, one that caused more problems than it solved. Well, let's look at the problems that it solved. Education for all that required it, food for all that were hungry, and non-negotiables. You see, all 10 points were valid, but point 7 looks at the bare minimum of what an individual was entitled to. Not an unreasonable request, but a request for life and not death. and the hands of those that were meant to protect life and not cause death. You see, a lot has been written and documented about this relationship. If ever there was a turbulent relationship, this would be it. The relationship of the black skin and the blue uniform. Well, that uniform at times was used to beat this skin black and blue. This is truth. This is documented truth. The point was not built out of wanting too much, but rather pain of a community that has lost loved ones and the constant music of tears and cries for justice. This was all too normal. This was normalized. Not by those that endured the pain, but by those that caused it. You see, when a picture is painted, the painter has a clear way he wants you to view it. I mean, yes, it can be interpreted differently, but that said painter wants you to see exactly what they saw. In this situation, the police was the painter. The canvas was the narrative. The art was black people are only one type of way. Trouble, drugs, guns, problems, issues, detrimental, ruin, ghetto, dropouts, uneducated, lazy, thieves, murderers, fatherless, gangbangers. What a picture. What a picture to paint. Non-negotiable. Let me not confuse you. This point was born out of pain and hurt, not aggression and tyranny. It is not justice for a point written over 50 years ago. Still lives as a question unanswered. Broken promises, false solutions. How one human being is afforded the position of being able to rest his heavy knee in the back of another's neck in broad daylight while many stand on to watch does not sound like change. His gun may have still been on his waist, but the ammo of hate was in his heart. How many more times? How many more times must we continue the conversation of where to start? How do we hold firm the thought that this is a non-negotiable and not a letter of pleading and begging? Maybe it's interchangeable. You see, I myself as a black man, as a black poet, have written a number of pieces around race and injustice. Each time slightly different, but yet share the same mirror. One that allows us to look at the continued problem that we face. This movement cannot be destroyed. How dare we think otherwise? Until those that took an oath to protect and serve actually live their oath to protect and serve. This is a non-negotiable.
I know why the caged bird sleeps. It's just to escape the imprisonment of the deathly cycle that is white supremacy. The caged bird dreams that it can be free, and by free I don't just mean from cages. I mean free like not fearing death at the hands of a law enforcer who's paid by the taxes from your wages. I mean free like no beatings from police who vow to uphold the law but let their morals scatter into pieces when they clamp down on necks with knees and shoot kids holding sweeties. I mean free like at least having the decency to let families see their deceased loved ones after you've killed them. I mean free like just being able to mourn and grieve without the added stress of having to march and protest and petition for justice, for peace. I mean free like not being shot by police at a traffic stop. We don't want the tables to turn, we just want to change what's on the tabletop. Shouldn't have to wait in line for freedom, shouldn't have to fear police when we see them. What do you do when you see someone dying but it's the one you would call for help that's got their knee on the neck? How do you just let the police do their job when they steal breaths for selling cigarettes? Where do you go for safety when police choose who they will and won't protect? And how do you trust the justice system when it doesn't seem like there's any justice left? Because things are either wrong or right. Can't be both at the same time. Not when you pledge to protect but use your power for corruption instead. I mean free like removing the few bad eggs from the rest of the clutch. I mean free like most of the corrupt police that have beaten, abused and unlawfully killed, but have never been locked up. No justice, no peace. We're not asking for much. We don't want the tables to turn. We just want to change what's on the tabletop. If you wear a badge that says protect and serve, but you endanger and harm, you should have to take that off. Wouldn't let a doctor make a patient ill. Wouldn't let a firefighter get away with arson. But from history, it seems that police are allowed to attack and impede as long as the victim is black when they bleed. So to make it clear, I mean free like a bird, but not a bird that's surrounded by foxes. I mean free like love, but not a love that's toxic. They hunted the Black Panthers for supposedly being violent, whilst police themselves brutalised innocent black people. But which one do you think that they say the mob is? Your blue life mattering isn't exactly the same as my black life mattering, because my black is my skin and blue's just what your job is. When will there be a stop to this pendulum of violence that isn't weighted to favour the side of justice, but favours those who get to decide what justice is? What happens when respectability politics isn't applicable? Because guess what? Some of the victims of police brutality have been kids. There's a monopoly on freedom, and black people do not have first, second, or third dibs. But we're still the ones who have to pay the price in the end, with our lives. I know why the cage bird cries. Just hoping if you'll hear its plea one more time, you might change your mind and set it free. I know why the cage bird sleeps. It's because it hopes to wake to a better tomorrow, where freedom is guaranteed and not just borrowed for a chosen few. That's why when I say free, I mean like you and I and we want an immediate end to police brutality.
The ends don't justify the means, but the means don't justify the ends. But I mean in the ends we don't justify our dreams. Although, not all flowers flutter in the wind. Some stay rooted to the ground below, aiming to reach higher heights. Even the rain has its flows. I guess it has its pros of having its own choice. I listen to them drop, one at a time. Pass me by like the streams about my plight. Is it easy to test these souls? Each soul has its curve and each curve has its relationship. But the lines we seem to write are blurred between lies, weaved for blanketing our truth over time. Let's cross out the corners, knowing that you've crossed the line. Before we box with our shadows, remember, you're wrestling with God's chosen giants. A brother on the bus said, eventually it's gonna end the same way. If I keep running this red light, then one day police will catch me, stopped at this red light. The stories are already written for us. How can we walk until our shoes don't have others walking miles in them? We protest at protest. Let's hope that the grass is greener in another mile. Well, I'm not saying it's all good in the hood though, but it's always the outer me that lies to me. I will open the sky to see your eyes gaze upon my face again. I remember how darkness gave birth to the night, and the day had to take its side. All the pages of our stories feel like voids. Everyone wants to build, but instead we bring mortar. Black lives splattered on our pavements, concrete smothered in gold, showing the darker truths that there is more darkness in freedom than you're letting on. Shady business about how we came about to how we came along. All we want is freedom. We want the freedom and the power to determine the destiny of our black community. I've never seen a butterfly, so instead I'm chasing a brick. Spell it with a Q, hope it never lands in the ends. Make that a Z. As for peas, this isn't an attack. It's merely a collection of notes that evoke emotion. If you feel provoked, then please spell check your heart. Let the blood overflow. Let it overflow, then let me see your true colors. But first let's connect. The stars we pick will sit on the leaves of the trees. Who knew that fire could fly? I'd slit a throat, but first that would be a shortcut. So let's dive together. Deep into the ocean of my emotions, so let's find the treasure. The only way to burst pipes is to find the pressure. The biggest con to black history was the illusion of progress. I thought I knew what develop meant. You act hella bright, son, until I ask you to explain. How were black lives splattered on pavements, concrete smothered in gold? I mean, could you ever rest in a tiger's den or a lion's bed? There is no gold in a pirate's head, an unquenchable thirst in the minds of many, many minds ponder over yonder and wander in the depths of boredom and find inspiration from boredom. We must delegate our accolades. May our sons never fear another day for being unarmed and dangerous. May they bear arms and wave at us. Let those bullets rain down on anyone who aims at us. To our progress, or our trigger points again, a reminder that rivers are stained with blood. For whoever puts chains on us, let my brother be a good father with an example of being raised by one. May our sons have their other hands raised as a fist full of hope to take him back home to his mother's one, where his mother tongue speaks love, not pain about losing another son.
Revolution cannot flourish within the belly of a whale, so why do you banish us to the hole? There are 10 simple steps to unite us, but standing unified to you smells foul. We own the ground you sliver over, and we built the barns you burn us in, yet you stand tall over the rubble. We breathe that same air, so who said yours could taste sweeter? This black fist is hammering away, so why does its symphony fall on deaf ears? You are the judges, the jurors, the officers, the teachers, the lawyers, the firefighters, and the slave owners, but we barely exist. We are the beggars, the shoe shiners, the mammies, the help, the slaves, but only remain as a liquidy brown substance beneath your feet. I know you enjoy hurting me. That's the only time your fist is black. So stand back, young piggy, because these black panthers are ready to eat. Do you believe me? You know how strong our backs are because you whipped it 1,000 times, but you could not rip the spirit from our minds. Even our backs belong to you. So we want something that belongs to us. To have a job. To earn a wage, to exist in life without being afraid. What's the difference between the plantation and the factory? None of this makes sense to me, so while you rewrite the books of our history, we know what we know, and we know what we deserve. All men are equal, so let us serve the people. All men are equal, so let us serve the people. Scratch that, young piggy, because I don't think you're listening to me. The revolution has come. It's time to pick up the guns. How does that sound? Do your backs tingle when we chant it? You take us for granted, but still you won't grant this, so watch this. The whole black nation has to be put together as a black army, and we are going to walk over this racist power structure. We are tired of broken promises. We must result in liberating our colony. We must honour the blackness that you tried to drain from our skins and use our blood and tears to lynch you with. When any form of government becomes destructive, it is the right of the people to alter it, abolish it. How would you feel if you couldn't provide for your kids? To have a job, to earn a wage, to exist in life without being afraid. You tried to dampen and weaken us, but you created fear. You created the belly of the whale, so it should be you drowning in there. You burn our houses down, break our sons, rape our daughters, and claim those that are not yours. We invented soap, so wash away your sins. We invented the lamp, so cast light on your chaos. We invented the kitchen table, so dish out only what you can eat. Can you hear me now, little piggy? We want something with our name on it. We want something with our name on it, not the names you branded us with. You can call us all the names under the sun, but we are human beings. But when you look at me, what is it really that you are seeing? You've put hierarchy in society which completely eradicates my freedom, so understand this 10-point program and guarantee us our income. We are the sharp edges of resistance, here to vanguard the revolution. It is you who will swim in the belly of the whale. We panthers will not drown in your hollow darkness.